What are you saying, ladies and gents? It is your boy BucketHatSam, and we are back again for episode 4. We've made it for BucketHatSam Talks Ball Podcast because I forgot to mention the name of the podcast in the last episode. And that's my only note for today. That's literally all I need to do. So I'm glad. We are back again. We have got Mike on again. We're going to be talking lots of things today. We're going to be talking Norwich with the Dean Smith appointment. We're going to be talking all things England. Hence, if you're watching, I have got my England bucket hat on. It's actually made out of an England shirt, hence why it's a little bit floppy on the side, but you can't beat it. And we're also going to be discussing, it's a big segment because international football's boring. There's nothing really to talk about. Me and Mike have been trying to do this, and I've been spending a lot of time looking at this. I know Mike has as well. Our best 11 of the decade in the Premier League. It's absolutely vile. I must have changed my team about 10 times. But anyway, Mike, I haven't even said hello. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Back by popular demand, as all the Bucketeers have been raving about me, I've heard. So yeah, here we are.
To be fair, you haven't had any, you've had no hate, which is always a positive. I'm surprised because you made a couple of digs, but today probably, I think if you're going to get any hate, it will be with this 11 of the decade, let's be honest, because this is going to be controversial.
I'm quite confident. A mixture of teams as well. Not biased to Arsenal at all. So we move.
You can't be. Let's be honest, can you? Like in the last decade,
no, it was a bad decade. It was a bad decade.
If we were doing it all time, then I think there'd be a lot more Arsenal. But no, we're doing the decade. But let's start with Norwich. How bizarre with Dean Smith getting sacked. Next thing you know, he's in a new job. It must probably be the fastest turnaround. I don't actually know whether it is, but it surely is. It's absolutely bizarre. What are your thoughts on it? Because I still can't decide what I think of it, really. What are you saying?
Firstly, it's very strange. Like, when have we ever seen this where a manager, within a matter of probably 48 hours, is out of one job and into the next? I can't remember it happening before, really.
Oh, it is bizarre. And especially...
Weird.
Yeah, especially two relegation sides as well, like two sides in a relegation battle. Like, I know obviously Villa will probably climb out of it. Let's be honest, they have got a good enough squad, but they're not far off each other at the moment. It's just a bit of I can't get it. I just can't get. No, I know we've spoken off camera.
It's an upgrade on Farker, definitely. So he gives them a better chance at staying up. It's a safe appointment, though, because if likelihood is they are going to go down, he has a lot of experience in the Championship. With a capable squad, they're giving themselves a very good chance of going straight back up again, which is, I suppose, what they want if it doesn't happen in the Premier League.
Yeah, but do you not think, though, when you look at it, that's exactly what Daniel Farker was, though? Daniel Farker has been promoted twice with Norwich.
It is.
Look, I just don't get it. I'm surprised they didn't go for like a young up and coming manager and gone for the long picture, because I can't see. I keep always do this, the process and things, the long term idea. I'm just not sure. I don't know. Dean Smith doesn't scream long term, big picture and ambition. It's ambition is the word I'm thinking, but it depends what the board want, isn't it? Really, like, they're not going to ever become a mid-table side. And maybe, as you said, it is a slight improvement. So they are making steps forward. I was expecting something a bit bigger, maybe taking a manager from a lower league and who's young, up and coming, got some brilliant ideas. I just don't know. I just don't get it personally.
It is a bit of an odd one, but like I said, it gives you a better chance of staying up than Farker. There's a higher upside with Smith than there was with Farker. And you've still got all the same Championship prowess that Farker earned, which Dean Smith has done.
Yeah, I get you. So I would say everyone let us know in the comments, but I doubt many people will. I don't know of any Norwich fans that watch us, because I have said in the past, Norwich are going down, so they usually dislike the videos. So I don't think anyone really wants much Norwich talk. Other than that, nothing's really been going on in the Premier League. It's obviously international break. And I am wearing an England hat, but I'm annoyed, if I'm honest. I just cannot stand these international breaks when we play against sides like Albania and San Marino. No disrespect to these kind of countries. The standard of football we watch, it's not competitive. It's slow pace. And I find myself, I always watch it, as we said. Like I said on the last podcast, I wasn't going to watch it. I watched both games. And I instantly regret it. And I just don't get the point. And I understand we've got to qualify.
I stuck to my word. and didn't watch either. So
Well,
who's the real winner?
yeah, probably you, mate, because all I'm going to do is moan. Because what I don't get, and I understand, obviously, if we're going to qualify for World Cups and Euros, you need to have like a competition. But it's just how easy the groups are. I know, obviously, it's not as simple. And yes, we've won, but we've just put 10 past the side we're in a competition with. Like, what? How is that enhancing the team? How is that prepping us ready for a World Cup? I know there's nothing you can do about it. It just infuriates me. I was watching it and I just felt bad for San Marino. Like, I genuinely was embarrassed watching it. It's just uncomfortable to watch. There's players, you're looking at the San Marino side, they're all absolutely shattered. We're running rings around them, passing the ball around, not looking like we're interested, and we've still scored 10. It's like after probably 3 or 4 goals, when you should just rage quit on FIFA, there should be like an option. if there could be an option just to say, let's just call it quits now, lads. Let's all go in and have an early shower. Because it is just uncomfortable. I sat on the sofa. I just felt awful watching it. I've never felt so bad watching a game. I don't know if, obviously, you never see that with a West Brom side. You might have seen it with an Arsenal side when they absolutely batter somebody. I'm just not used to big scores, really, as a fan. I don't know. There's not much you can do. It just annoys me.
You really want to see in professional football, is it? You want at least a bit of competition. Yeah. I mean, they're all semi-professional, aren't they? Like accountants, plumbers and stuff. We may as well have put the Razzes out against them.
The Rangers, our Sunday League team. I was watching it and I said this, like, I'm not a good goalkeeper, but I wouldn't have had to make a single save in that game. I think they had one chance throughout the game and Ramsdale made the save, which shout out to him. He's finally got into the squad. Like I said, he should be there and he started.
3 Arsenal boys in the starting 11, even though it's San Marino.
But it's just, I don't know. I don't know what you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. And I'm moaning just for the sake of it. But it's just, yeah, I just felt uncomfortable watching it. And it's just, there's no point. And I still watch it no matter what. I don't know. I should really not moan about it because I'm the real problem. If I didn't watch it, then I wouldn't moan. So yeah, that's all really we can talk about. Other than that, I think we've got to just go straight into our Premier League team of the decade. Oh. I'm excited for this. This is going to be controversial.
Actually, can I pipe up for a sec?
Oh, go for it. Go for it. This is your moment.
Well, you've been speaking about international football, and yes, these qualification groups we hate. Like they are just boring. They're long. They're tedious. They stop the season in flow. What we do like, or what I think people like, is the Nations League has been received really well. Do you agree? Like,
I loved that. I was all for it.
The competitive games and like the levels where you have to go up and get promoted and then you enter a knockout tournament. Everyone seems to like that, competitive games. Is there not a way that UEFA could integrate qualification into that somehow? I guess it would be difficult, but
yeah, because doesn't the team that wins automatically qualify? Isn't that the one rule that the team that wins the competition automatically qualify for the Euros?
Euros.
Is that right? I may have completely made that up. But even then, the only problem with that is, like, I have thought about this. If they did do that, then it's big boys playing against big boys. One of the big boys isn't going to qualify.
Yeah, that's the issue. They'd have to find a way to get the minnows a chance at least.
Oh yeah, definitely. That is the only problem. But I was all for it. I absolutely loved it. It's a chance to watch like big teams playing against each other. And you don't get to see often your Spain playing against France or France versus Italy. Games like that, you don't get to see them very often. They don't meet all the time in the Euros. And it does get to kind of test your side and see how they may cope in the big competitions. I'm all for it. I did enjoy it. And I'm trying to research quickly as I can to see if you can qualify, but there's nothing on Google when I search it. So who knows? There may be.
Completely made that up.
I feel like I wouldn't have just made that up. Surely. Like, I don't know. Oh, there we go. Does the winner of UEFA Nations League qualify?
No.
Oh no! The 10 group winners after the first round will directly qualify for the World Cup. Yes, they do actually. There we go. The winners.
Okay, there we go.
See, so I'm quite glad there. I did just panic that I had just completely made up a rule. It's a good rule, but there we go. So there's not much you can really discuss with it. If they could do something, it would be brilliant. It's like this bilateral World Cup they're discussing, trying to get more competitive games in. I'm not for that. With the World Cup every 2 years.
2 years.
I'm completely against that personally, and I think
all the Premier League teams have voted it down, haven't they?
There's no chance.
No, all right.
because that's the difference is with the World Cup and the UEFA Nations League. The UEFA Nations League is a lot smaller, isn't it? Like it's not, and it can be played out across a year. And we're all for the UEFA Nations League, and hopefully we can bring it. You can't really say you bring it home, can you? Let's be honest. You're not going to bring the UEFA Nations League home. We could any chance to say it's coming,
but no.
Any chance to say it's coming home? I bet you now, if we got into the final, people would be saying that. Let's be honest. But yeah, is that everything you want to say? Because you just dropped in a little conversation there.
No, I'm gonna have a little rant about international football. I'm gonna go off topic a bit, but here we go.
Go for it.
On the GOAT debate, I am firmly one-sided, and for a long time we've had Messi only scores his international goals against minnows.
Oh, you do Messi or Ronaldo? Sorry.
Yes.
Oh no, not this topic.
So everyone's been going, Messi only scores his goals against minnows. Like it's easy to put him past. Ronaldo has to play in Europe against the top sides. Okay. We've just seen that Europe does not, with two results stand out that show that Europe does not have top sides. France beat Kazakhstan 8-0 and Mbappe scored 4 in about half an hour or something. So talk about stat padding, where you play teams like Kazakhstan, San Marino. You're going to have a ridiculous international record, aren't you? And Ronaldo does play these sort of teams. Maybe not very often, but he does. And Goat Boy, Alien Boy, actually, like this, I think the standard is of the lower teams is a lot better in South America. You look at like your Ecuadors and Colombias and Perus. Every time you play them at a major tournament, they are tough to play against. They make it difficult for you. As well, we played Colombia and went to penalties. They just make it difficult for you.
Well, they are footballing nations.
South American intensity. Yeah.
That's the thing. When you look at the Euro, I know you. Any chance for you to say Messi over Ronaldo, I know you'll be able to slip it in. I always just say, can we not just enjoy them both? And I love the discussion, and you can discuss it all day, all night. I just want to enjoy them both, and I want to just be able to.
I do enjoy them, and Ronaldo is a phenomenal player. Let's not get it wrong.
Like, we discuss it. It's one
of the best of all time.
Oh yeah, it's one of those chats you can have in the pub every week, and everyone disagrees. Everyone has their own opinion on it, and I do agree. I think Messi's a better footballer, but then sometimes I do believe Ronaldo is one of those big moment players, and that's the thing. It just depends what you prefer. Whether you prefer just pure goals and determination, or a better player on the eye kind of thing. So I can see why you discuss either. I'm not going to say my opinion because I just said it's Messi for me. But then at the same time, I do also enjoy Ronaldo. I do also enjoy Ronaldo equally as much. So I'm going to sit on the fence, and I'm comfy on this fence, and I'm not going to say anything. I love them both. Let's just enjoy them both. And let's just quickly skirt off this before I get some hate off some Man United fans and get to that Premier League.
Diplomatic as always.
That's my job. I'm here to just sit on the fence. I'm comfy up here. It's nice and warm. I'm just going to stay there. Let's get on to this team, the Premier League team of the decade. This is where I won't sit on the fence, actually. This is where I'm going to have some actual opinions, maybe controversial. We're going to probably disagree. There's so many players. And I think when I looked at this team, it made me realise the last decade of football has been brilliant. And what I found, I don't know if you saw this, most prevalent for me was the change in style. When you looked at early 2010s, the kind of players that we were looking at and discussing, your likes of John Terry and players like that, and maybe Gerrard, who in this last decade have kind of fallen down, but how now the different style of players and the different style of play and the entire game, I do believe, has changed a lot. So it's been quite interesting looking back at some of these players that I used to remember.
Yeah, I agree. In the last 5 years, the game's come a long way. Probably tactically and fitness-wise and all that. And like the type of players we look for now, like it is a different game now to what it was 10 years ago, definitely.
I think more so like there's technical players. I think so it is. It's the style of play. Like I was looking at this team and I was thinking automatically straight away, what do I want from my defenders? Do I want them to defend? Do I want them to go forward, attack, and play out from the back? And I was thinking, no, I'm just doing my team of the decade. Let's put all style and tactics apart. But yeah, it is interesting when you do look into it and kind of how the game has evolved and some of the players that potentially were unreal maybe 10 years ago, and you think, oh, would they survive in this day and age? But that's a discussion for another time. I want to know, Mike, who is, in your opinion, I'm trying to make this dramatic. If I could have like dramatic music here, I would, but I cannot be bothered to put that in. Who is the best goalkeeper, in your opinion, in the Premier League in the last decade?
I'd just like to say, before I start my team, I've tried to pick all mine based on longevity. So over a decade, not just...
You're already getting in literally excuses.
Years, not just one season. Just it's for longevity. It's from 2010, 2020. Okay.
That's to me. That sounds and smells like an excuse already. This is you.
Well, reversing. There's no excuse. This is my team. There's no excuses.
Go for it. Here we go.
Petr Cech in goal.
Very, very solid player. Tell us why.
Obviously, he was an absolute rock for Chelsea, and like he was the foundation for their great defence over those years, especially in the early part of the decade. And then he came to Arsenal, and I was a bit meh because he was at that time aging. And I didn't really want a Chelsea reject, as good as he was. But then he kept a lot, I think some ridiculous amount of clean sheets for us in his first season. I think it was like 15, 16 clean sheets. And then he dropped off a bit after, but as a whole, consistently, he was an absolute rock at the back.
Oh, definitely. He's one of those keepers that, like, he's a proper shot stopper, and he was consistent. Like, I was recently looking at the amount of clean sheets and things. He is unreal. Like, he is unreal. And I feel like he is underrated, because I think a lot of people do remember that time at Arsenal, and that's kind of the point we were making about the game changing. People were asking him to play out from the back and things like that.
I was just about to make that point. He's number one, like, case in point of how far the game has come, because as good as a goalkeeper he was, if you put him in the Premier League nowadays and ask him to try and play out from the back in any team, he's not good enough. Like, his kicking couldn't be compared to any of like the modern day keepers, where they're spraying passes, finding feet and stuff. Not like that at all, but it was a sign of the times, wasn't it? And he was probably the best. Well, in my opinion, he was the best in the league.
He was the one for me that I haven't got the same as you, but he was the one for me in the discussion. And I spent a lot of time thinking about it, looking in the mirror and thinking, like, he was a very, very good keeper. And I think, as you keep saying, I think that Arsenal time has tarnished a lot of people's opinion on him, because he was so consistent at that top level for so long. And that's what I think is the highlight for me, is because every keeper has dips in form, but he was one for me at his time in Chelsea. It was such a high standard, consistent every single week. And he's one keeper. If you watch his highlights, I know you can't do a lot with highlights, but if you occasionally go on YouTube and look at his highlights, he was unreal. And he's part of that team that he was the foundation, as you said, for so long when Chelsea were dominating. But when they kind of changed, when new managers came in, he was somebody who stayed in that team. He was kind of the heart of it, really. But yeah, I completely agree. Very good keeper. Very good keeper. But sadly, he's not made my team. He's not made the cut. Petr Cech, he's sat on the bench for me. Like, he's not making it. We might not even be on the bench, but he's not made it. My keeper, and I know you're going to... This is when we were talking about now, players who... I'm trying to think of my excuse now, how I can try and make my point. I haven't gone for longevity, because my thought was, this is the best team of the decade. So in that time period, the best player in every position. So I'm trying not to just go on players that did for 10 years. I'm trying to go on players who did it for a while. That's my excuse, basically. But I'm going to probably go back on myself. Yeah, I'm trying to dodge around it, basically. When you look, I'm going to be such a hypocrite.
I had a good run of form in 2015. I get the
team. Okay, here we go. My keeper is David De Gea. And you can pick up your jaw. I know you're surprised. But I found, and when I think about David De Gea, I look at that 4-5 year period, I'd say, that time when he was considered and regarded as the best keeper on the planet. Real Madrid were knocking at his door. He was unreal for that United side. I know he came and he struggled for his first season, but I think consistency-wise, he was unreal. And it was when United dipped a bit. Do you remember when United, after the Sir Alex Ferguson left, and that kind of period when he stepped up and he was so consistent for so long, his shot stopping was unreal. I remember that so many times I'd be sat there on a Sunday, eating my Sunday roast, watching David De Gea, another masterclass when he's making over 10 saves. He's brilliant with his feet. Look, and I know obviously recently he's dipped a bit in form, but I do believe across, like, when you try and look at it as a bigger picture, he was unreal for so long. And I think he's somebody who, as we've said, is underrated. And I think he does get a lot of stick for the mistakes he made. But the amount of times he kept United in games, he was unreal for so long. And I really like him. And I do think for some reason he doesn't get in the Spain squad, which for quite a while, he never really was the Spain keeper. They didn't trust him, but I thought he was very good in that United side. And he's my keeper of the decade. You're going to tell me now why I'm wrong. I can tell already.
No, I like that. And during that period, he was very good. During that decade, he was very good. For me, there's two things that go against him.
Yeah.
One, I should have mentioned at the start of the podcast, which is another thing that I was considering for all of these people. It's not, well, obviously longevity, but another thing is winning, and titles is a big factor. So there's one reason why for me, and I'm going to call it the Fergie factor, because he's got one Premier League, and it was while Ferguson was there, and we all know, like, he was a genius. He could do wonders with a squad and win the league with, like, people like Wes Brown and John O'Shea starting at centre back. He was just something. It was, I don't know what it was. He just had something special. Ferguson did, and then since then, United have fell off a cliff a bit, and he has, during that time, he was probably, like, he was winning Player of the Year for them quite regularly, wasn't he?
Often. I think it was 3 years in a row.
Standout performer. And then the other thing that hurts him, in my opinion, is that first, I think it was 2 seasons where he couldn't catch a cross.
Yeah.
And he was just getting battered by, like, balls into the box, and people were targeting him a bit. But
definitely, yeah.
He figured it out, and then he turned into the top class.
Because I believe in that period, I think he was the best keeper on the planet. Him and Neuer set a new standard for goalkeepers, and that's why De Gea is getting paid the amount he is. At that time, and I know that's controversial, but at that time, I think he was unreal. I've never seen a keeper save so much with his feet and things. He was so agile and light in the way he moved. I really liked him.
And when he came in as well, he was probably the opposite to Cech. He was the new wave of a goalie. He was more agile. He wasn't as physical, but then much better with his feet. So he was probably, like, the first one of that breed of goalie.
Yeah, that phase.
Saw in the Premier League.
Yeah. Because he's not on the level of some of the players that are there now, like Edison and Alisson, but he was that kind of first phase and wave of new keepers that were coming in. But as I said, shot stopping, he was unreal. And I know you said about winning titles and things, whereas I've kind of gone with my team and tried to look at it a slightly different way, because my team is individuals. And I've tried to look at individual accolades as well as, because I think when you look at title winning sides, what are you laughing at? Go on, say it. Go on.
Do good teams have individual players in?
Yeah, no, they do. But I'm saying I'm trying to look more so at the individuals. I know exactly. No, let me finish my point before you come in. I get entirely what you're saying, but I do think a lot of the time, if you have a collective group, we can see, like, that Chelsea side that won under Antonio Conte, that won the league that year. They had some very good players in there, but there were also some players who weren't the best. When you look at, like, Victor Moses playing at right wing back, I think if you can get a collective as a group, I don't look at Victor Moses and think he's the best right wing back because he's won the league or anything like that. Or I don't look at Ryan Bertrand being a player because he's won the Champions League with Chelsea. I'm trying to look at individuals rather than what they've won as a group and try to think, how good were they? I've tried to not be biased towards Premier League trophies and titles, because I found myself at the start doing that. I was looking at what they'd won and things, but my team is individuals. They're probably not going to work well as a team. It's probably going to be like a Belgium side, really, that we've seen for so long, where it's just full of individuals who cannot work together. This team wouldn't work together at all. There is absolutely no chance, but it's my team, so back off.
No, that's fair, mate. That's fair.
So I think those two
my team would beat it, but
well, we're going to put that out after, and we're going to ask people what they think. It's going to be interesting.
Get it on a vote.
Oh, definitely. We will have to get this on a vote, because it is interesting, because what I want from certain players, you might want something different. And that's why I think this debate is very interesting. I'm intrigued to see what you think, just and seeing how you react to my players. Because even after everything you've said, I still believe David De Gea is the best. I don't think anyone would change that opinion. I get the point you're making, but in my mind, I've got that tunnel vision. Petr Cech's outside. It's David De Gea. This is his place. This is his moment. But I think we've done too good start there, really. There's no one too controversial. Sorry, my voice isn't really high pitched. They're not.
Those two are probably standouts.
Yeah, there are some honourable mentions. But like at moments, there are some keepers like I think had moments where if they could have carried on, like Joe Hart at one point. I know I'm not putting him on these two levels, but at one point he was at that level, but the fall off was just unreal. Like that's somebody who dropped out, but then that's because of, as we said, the new phase of goalkeepers. He couldn't cut it in the Man City side, could he, with that new Pep ball? But yeah, I think other than that, I couldn't really think of anyone. There have been keepers who've been around for 10 years, but I don't think that are on their level like David De Gea's and Petr Cech's. As we said, like we joked, Ben Foster, keepers like that who have been around for so long, but they're not on that level. But should we head on to right back? I think we've discussed those keepers well there. I'm feeling quite happy. Happy with that.
Fine. Do you want to go with your right back first?
Oh, do you know what? I would gladly go first with my right back because this is
crack on, mate.
This right back, this guy I put in my team, and I'm not joking here now. This guy, I believe, is one of the most criminally underrated players of my generation, and I have been one to call him out, and I've had to reflect on my opinions and think, what are you doing? This guy is unreal. I've gone for Kyle Walker at right back for his time at Tottenham. Sorry, I know Tottenham. I know you're not going to be all for it, and his time at Man City. I think across the last decade, this guy has been so consistent, and we've seen a player evolve. And he moved to this Man City side. I know everyone wondered how would he cope in this side with Man City with the inverted fullbacks and things. And I think he has been such a high standard and a high level for so long. I genuinely believe he's one of the best right backs in Premier League history, but I feel like for some reason he isn't rated as highly as others. That's just me personally, and I don't know if you'd agree. I don't know if it's because he's not as attractive and he doesn't do as much going forward. Potentially doesn't get the goals or the assists.
I do agree with you. I think we spoke about it on the last episode when we spoke about England.
Best right back, didn't we?
Yeah. I think he just gives you something that not many other people in world football can with that pace, and he's good at defending as well. Like he's a very, very solid defender. He knows what he's doing, and you combine that with the pace, and then that is pretty much a perfect right back. And he's probably second in my team.
Yeah, I thought so.
Because he was a good player at Spurs, and then everyone I think was it 50 mil?
50 million, yeah, it was 50
and
million.
Then I was a bit like, oh well. He was good for Spurs, but can he advance his game where he's comfortable? Because he never looked like a composed passer.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He was always overlapping at speed. Whereas now, like you look at him on the ball, and he looks so comfortable in that back. Well, whatever system they're playing, no one really knows where they end up. So he could be playing right mid, he could be playing centre back, he could be popping up in centre midfield. But yeah, Kyle Walker's been, and again, his consistency and longevity over years, and he's still doing it now at the top. And he's still got years ahead of him. So really good choice.
See, there you go. Look, longevity. I did go for somebody who's done it for a while, and I think with his pace, I think a lot of the stuff he does goes unnoticed, and the covering he does for other defenders goes unnoticed because he does it with such ease. I've never seen a player like he just never looks like he's breaking a sweat. Like if I try to run even at half the speed, I'll be like just dripping with sweat and I'll be panting. He's sprinting around nonstop. He's just an engine. He's unreal watching him play. I've loved watching him play, and I still like him now. And I know not so long ago I fell out of love with him and thought, really, is Alexander-Arnold should be ahead of him and things like that. But I think my footballing opinion has matured over this summer. I think I looked at Kyle Walker, especially in this Euros, and made me realise how integral he has been for this England side. And he's been in that England side for, I don't know how long now. That's been his position for a very long time, let's be honest. I know now he's kind of merged into that defender, but that's because he's so composed and he can go to that centre-back because he's so good now on the ball. And I just love him, yeah. I could talk about him all day. So Kyle Walker is my right back. Who is yours, Mike?
Mine might surprise you a bit. I don't know. And it's not, I'm not in love with it because of the team he plays for, but it is the big Serbian, Branislav Ivanovic.
Now, that is not one I was expecting. You're right. I thought there was going to be some real strong bias in this team, but fair play. 2 Chelsea boys straight away.
I don't like to compliment Chelsea, but during this decade, they have them and City really have dominated the league. Liverpool came in at the end, but Chelsea have had for those 5-6 years a really, really good team, and it was all built on a very solid defence, a big, strong, solid defence, and he was like an old school defender, just hard as nails, isn't he? Like you wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley.
No chance.
He is scary. Like I wouldn't even want to look him in the eyes. I don't think I would be petrified of him.
I am still petrified of him. I still am. Yeah. And his time at West Brom. Oh, what a career. No, I'm joking. No, there's no need to dig about that. There's no need to dig about
boing,
that. Boing. No, I completely agree with you, though. He was unreal.
He was a very good player. And then he even started to add goals and assists to his game, which you wouldn't have thought when we first saw him. That was something he was able to do. But then he was popping up and he was getting like 5 goals in a couple of seasons, which for a defender is so valuable to just pop up with goals.
Yeah.
Strong in the air. He was just a colossal defender for them.
Oh, no, I agree. He was deceptively fast, I always found. Obviously, at the end of the career, he really did slow down, but he was deceptively fast. I think it was the lower centre of gravity. He was strong, as you said. And I don't know, you never I always found whenever I watched him, I don't know if you're going to think this is weird. You might agree with me what I'm trying to say here. You might have to help me explain this if you get what I'm trying to say. I think I never kind of trusted him when he just didn't seem to be, I'm trying to think of the right word, your technical footballer. He didn't look like a very attractive footballer.
Oh, no,
the way he played.
He's not particularly gifted on the ball.
That's what I was trying to say, but it seemed to always work. Yeah, it seemed to always work. Yeah. He was very good. He was consistent. He's one of those players, as you said, it's an 8 out of 10 every week, every single week.
And he did it for a number of years and played across a number of positions as well. And he always give you that 8 out of 10 performance whenever he played. He was just consistent and over an extended period of like dominance for a team. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that. Really, he's not got Kyle Walker's pace, but I still can see why you'd say it because he was unreal.
I could happily have Walker in mine. He doesn't like those two again are clear. As we were doing shout outs last week, I've got to give a shout out to Bakary Sagna. He plays at the back.
He's a very good player as well. He was one of those players.
He was brilliant for us. He was brilliant for us for a long, and then he didn't really go to Planet City. But for us, he was probably one of our better players during that period. He was almost a leader by example because he was quite a quiet character on the pitch, but his performances were fantastic and he overlapping, driving us forward. In the Champions League, I remember he had some great games as well. So shout out Bakary Sagna.
And he got a great trim, hadn't he? What a trim.
Of course.
It's got to be up there, hasn't it? With probably one of the best. We'll have to do that one day.
Great chance as well, but we can't repeat that.
Exactly. Not on this clean podcast. You know what? I've trained you well. That's I'm quite proud of you.
PG.
Exactly.
BucketHatSam Talks Ball. PG only.
It's got to be clean. I cannot be getting this taken down. So thank you, Mike. I've trained you well. I've never been so proud. Never been so proud. I was thinking about potentially putting Craig Dawson up for shout with his time at West Brom as a right back under Pulis. But no, I'm joking.
What about who was the Billy something?
Oh, Billy Jones. What a player.
Billy Jones.
Very shout out to Billy Jones. He was a player, he was.
Shout out Billy Jones.
Went off to Sunderland after us and then look where his career ended. That's what happens when you leave the mighty baggies. But there are so many players that I was looking back at that you just forget about. But I think we've, so far, nothing controversial. So I think now we've got to hop on to our centre-backs. The 2 centre-backs. I feel like I'm trying to work out how we should do this. Right-sided, left-sided.
I'll go forward with one now.
Go on then.
Leading on from the Chelsea stuff, and this is really paining me actually. Now I'm looking at it, there's 3 Chelsea players in my back.
Are you gone 3 for 3? Hat trick.
Oh,
go on.
John Terry.
John Terry.
He was an absolute titan at the back. Again, he was another one. You'd be scared of him. If you were a centre forward, you know he's going to kick your heels. He's going to do everything possible to not let you through, to not let you give you a chance. Brilliant defender, probably an even better leader. Like he, captain of that Chelsea side, he's led them to everything through. Like other players have come and gone, but him and Cech were the ones that stayed there and formed that like solid defence that went and won them multiple titles amongst other things. You just can't fault him. But again, he's probably another one in the modern game. Would he be as effective?
Yeah.
Probably not.
He did have a good pass on him though.
But
he was
defending alone. What was it? You just broke up then, mate.
Oh, did I? I was trying to say he was actually all right on the ball. Like he could use both feet. Like he wasn't.
He's probably better than like we think now.
Yeah.
He was probably better than we think now. But his defending was just ridiculous.
No, definitely.
Like,
and the goals as well.
It was. Yeah, exactly. Another one that for a defender popping up with goals.
Yeah. I did see a stat on the top goal scoring defenders, and I think he's clear at the top, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he's clear at the top.
By quite a distance, I think.
It's unreal. Like I think it's over 50 goals, and I may have completely messed that up, or it's definitely around that mark. I probably should have researched again before I just throw out these stats.
I'll get it up quickly.
Please do. And I will talk about John Terry because obviously he hasn't made my team, but he is one person who was close. Oh no, what was it?
42 goals.
42. I wasn't too far off. I knew it was around that mark. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that and pretend I basically got it right. I could cut it and just make it look like I've just got that stat right, but I'm not going to be like that. Got to keep it real. But no, I do agree with you. He was a very good defender and kind of, as you said, he's a leader as well. That kind of that leader not just by example, because he led by example, but you could see him on the pitch. He was loud, he was determined, and that's the intimidating side of him that you saw come out of him. But no, he was unreal. I do agree with you on that. Definitely. Very, very good player. And he nearly made my team. He's one of those players again, but he didn't quite make it. He's not going to get in my team. So I'm going to go with mine. And this is now when the longevity slaps me back in the face. You know what's coming. I had to put Van Dijk in. And I know a lot of people say the longevity, but I think what he has done as a defender in the short time that he has done, even at Southampton when he came over, question marks when he came from Celtic, is he good enough? And I think for the seasons he has done in this decade, it's probably 4, maybe 5 seasons in this decade, around about that, maybe 4 or 5, one of the two. But he has been unreal. And what I think, it's quite similar to John Terry. He's a leader. You can see him leading. He's loud on the pitch. He's athletic. He's brilliant in the air. He gets goals. And it's his passing for me that I think goes unnoticed. I have never seen a player spray the ball like he does. I remember the first time when Southampton came to West Brom, and I remember him taking the ball in a situation I thought, no chance. And he switches it, like pings it 50 yards and straight to the player's feet. And I was like, okay, this guy's different gravy. And he's gone on to huge things, higher than I'd expect him to. He's led this Liverpool team in this decade to do so much right at the end. And I know you're going to throw it back at me, the longevity. But I think what he has done in that period, he has to be one of the, if not the best defender of the decade. I am obsessed with him. I think he's a brilliant player, and he's got a great trim again. It's another thing. I know it means nothing, but it's just a great trim, isn't it? I rate it. But what are you going to say? Because I can see you're ready to tell me I'm wrong.
No. I can't. Like, if you want him in your team, have him in your team because he is that good. And like if we were making this team over the next 5 years after, he would be the first name on the team sheet.
Oh, 100%.
He is a Rolls Royce of a defender. Like, he just makes it look so easy. Everything he does, like interceptions, blocks, just shadowing people's runs and then just taking the ball off them. It's effortless for him.
Yeah, I agree.
You make a good point about Southampton as well, because people will probably forget that about like his longevity. But he had three very good seasons at Southampton.
It did go a bit sour at the end when he wanted to move away.
But he improved them massively when he came. So like that's a plus for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't just at Liverpool. He's gone and done it, improved a bottom half team, made them. They were challenging Europe at one point.
He was unreal. Yeah, and for the price they got him for an absolute steal. Like, and you don't, a club doesn't spend that amount of money on you unless you're Harry Maguire. If you're very good, like that's the point. Like, let's not talk about Harry Maguire. I hope he's not made your team. I'm very, very much hoping, because if he has made your team, by the way, as the other centre back, before we get on to it, this is your last appearance.
I would never pick Harry Maguire.
I'm just saying, just before I carried on talking about Van Dijk, because I just looked at you then and I thought, I didn't think so. I thought I knew you better than that, but could you imagine? But Harry Maguire. Van Dijk,
I'd rather have Mertesacker than Maguire.
Maybe Gareth McCauley as well, but
well, yeah.
But what I found as well with Van Dijk is he makes other defenders seem so much better. And I think that's why we've seen the likes of Alexander-Arnold and Robertson being able to do what they can do, that free roll going forward, because Van Dijk literally covers everyone. And his composure and the way he passes the ball just allows that team to play. It's all based around him. We saw when he was injured how poorly they were.
I was going to come on to this a bit as well, because you can just tell how good he is by looking at Liverpool whenever he's not there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a different proposition. Like you can get at them, you can beat them when he's not there. As soon as he's back, it's like it all comes together again. Like he just gels that whole unit. It's almost like the whole team. The team is not the same without him, just because of that presence he commands and like the authority on the pitch. He just gives everyone else so much more confidence. He's made Alisson better. He's made Matip better. He even made Joe Gomez look good, who's not good.
No, I couldn't agree on that.
And you touched on the fullbacks. The freedom they've got. And it's basically just because he's so good at recovery and recovering the ball after if they're out of position.
Yeah, that's the only one I think people will give me a bit of stick for. I can see why people could argue it's not long enough.
No argument.
I don't care. But that's my defender. So who is your other centre-back then? Is it another Chelsea defender?
No, that's enough Chelsea for now. It's got to be Big Vinny Company. Just what an absolute player he was.
I'd just like to say snap, by the way. We have our first agreement. It has to be. It has to be. You tell me why he's brilliant, and then I'll follow up. Go for it.
A lot of the same reasons as John Terry. He's transformed that City team from where they were as a top 8 side trying to push. He's come in and he came in right at the start, and he's the one that's took leadership of the whole. It's not even the team, because it's over such a long period of time where it's like the club. He's become the captain. He's become the leader for the club. He's demanding more off everyone, and then he's just he's a titan at the back. He's a rock. He's quick. He's talking to everyone. He was just brilliant.
Yeah, I completely agree. And in my opinion, how I believe he is so good is, we remember he got injured quite a lot at the end of kind of his career. But even when he came in those few games, when he played, say, 5 games a season because he was injured and he was getting on a bit, those games, he was still unreal. Yes, he might have had like jelly legs and every week he was getting injured. But in those games he was playing, he was driving that team, and he had moments like that goal against Leicester. Things like that.
Goal is just absolutely ridiculous.
It's absolutely stupid.
I remember watching it and I was just going, no. Why would you do that? And he's hit it. Oh, it's just unbelievable. I've never seen a centre half strike the ball like that.
And it's moments like that.
We've never seen him do it.
Oh yeah, no. But it's moments like that where I believe he's so good and so great, because he is part of that club for life. And it's those moments, you don't get defenders take those moments like that. And he literally grabbed so many games by the scruff of the neck, and in so many games, he was so consistent. And he did, as you said, help those title winning seasons. He was pivotal to that side. He was huge, and he's been very good. He's, as you said, the foundations of a club to grow to what City have now become, this huge powerhouse of a side. And I think a lot of it is down to him. Like, because as you said, he's been there from the start. He is those first layers of that club becoming this super this superpower. So I completely agree. And I think he's probably one of the only players in this team that I can think of, in my team especially. He's got a statue, hasn't he? He's got a statue made for him. Hasn't he got? I think it's outside the Man City ground. So he's got to be pretty good. You can't, if you've got a statue made, you kind of have to make my team. Let's be honest. You can't not, really. No. That's in my opinion. But I'm glad we've agreed on something, because I was starting to think, is this just going to be us just going at each other the whole time? Nice bit of love, nice bit of peace there for just a minute. But I know for a fact we're not going to have the same left back. You went for, did you go first? I'll go first for this one. So your favourite club, Chelsea. So you probably bleed blue with the way you're going at the moment, for definite. But no, my player has played as a left back in his time. He's played as a right back. He's played as a centre back. And I think this utility man is making my team at left back. It is Azpilicueta. And I know this is a bit of an odd one and this bit of a curveball, and somebody who kind of gets overlooked, still going strong now. And I know left back isn't his primary position, but he did make that position his own for quite a long time. And I'd say he's like Jure Ivanovic in what you've said. He's not the most attractive of footballers, not the fastest, but he's consistent. And he's literally, I'm pretty sure I read a stat, he's still not committed an error leading to a goal yet at his time in Chelsea. And he's been pivotal for so many seasons. He's been huge for them, and he can play anywhere across the back four. And I feel like he's one of those underrated players because he's just so consistent. And you're not going to expect worldy performances from him. He's going to be one of those players you can rely on in those moments. He has always been there for them. Wherever you want him playing, he will do a job. And I feel like he's not good enough to be the best right back, but I think left back wise, I don't think we've really been blessed in the last decade. When you look at the left backs, really, they're not as strong as other positions. So I think Azpilicueta really could have a good shout there. I can see already in your face, you're not feeling this one, but just tell, what are you saying about it then? Do you kind of see where I'm coming from?
No, I do. He's another one that's been very consistent over a long period of time, and he's slotted in against those older Chelsea boys and had an impact right away. And now he's almost took the mantle on himself, and he's the leader of that defence now in like this modern day version of Chelsea. But I'm sick of talking about Chelsea, to be honest. We'll move on to my left back, who
you're taking control of the podcast.
Called hero. It's got to be the one and only Leighton Baines.
Oh.
Go on,
tell me why then. Tell me why. Oh, this is brilliant.
He was a stalwart of the Everton defence all decade. A wicked left foot, popping up with goals, penalty taker, set piece delivery. He was just fantastic. He's a decent defender as well, but it was his consistency over those first few. Well, it's probably about 7 or 8 years, and he was just fantastic. And you knew what he was going to give you every week. Set piece delivery was on point, racking up the assists, racking up the goals. Again, like from a defender we've spoken about, it's so valuable to get those contributions from a defender, which before the likes of Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, there wasn't really much of that. Like, so Baines popping up with 5 assists, like that was unheard of back then, really, for a fullback. Whereas now with Alexander-Arnold getting like 20 assists a season, so it's just one of them. But yeah, I just thought he was brilliant for Everton.
Do you know, I sort of get where you're coming from, and no disrespect to him. I straight away though, I want to talk about his sideburns. That's the first thing. Whenever you say Leighton Baines, you remember when he had those like really thick sideburns? I don't know why. I know we're talking about football players. That's the first thing my mind goes to. But I know what you're saying. He was a good player, but I just don't think he's on that level. And I can see why you could argue it, but when you look at the kind of players he's brushing shoulders with in our squads, when you've got like Vincent Kompany and players like that, I am throwing a bit of shade on Leighton Baines here. He was a great player.
I'm not about the shade for Leighton Baines.
No, you're not. If he ever wants to come on the podcast, he's more than welcome. But I do think when you talk about those goals and assists, I do think it helps. As you said, he did take all those set pieces, but then that is another positive. So.
But he scored them.
No, I know he did.
Like he was missing them.
No. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like, it is a good shout. Like, he was a good player, and think when you look at left backs, when we go through the kind of left backs, when I was trying to do my research, thinking about players I could think of, you've got your likes of Gael Clichy, maybe. Ashley Cole's kind of on his way out in this decade. As you said, Leighton Baines, Aspilicueta. We haven't really been blessed, in my opinion. When you look at this position, I would say, I don't know about your side, I believe, in my opinion, this is the weakest position in my team. And I don't know why that is. But I can let you have Leighton Baines. I can't tell you what you can and can't have.
I am having. You're not letting me. I am having Leighton.
I know you're having Leighton Baines.
And I'm having him over Aspilicueta as well.
I just think, do you know what? Fair play to him. It's probably his biggest achievement making your side. But I mean that in the nicest way possible. He was a good player.
That's nasty, that is.
No, he was a good player. He's consistent.
I'm going to tag Leighton Baines in this podcast and listen to the abuse he's getting.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm just trying to be respectful. I just think the caliber of players we're talking about here, we're talking about some of the best players to ever play in these positions. And fair play to Leighton Baines for making his way into this side. Do you know what? Fair play to him. We'll move on before I get myself in trouble. I've gone for a 4-3-3 system, 3 midfielders. I've kind of got a holding midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder, and a player who kind of plays as kind of an attacking midfielder. So I'm going to go for my holding midfielder. And I think this is one of my favourite players that I've seen in real life. When I say in real life, live, I mean, sorry. Obviously in real life. But Kante, I think N'Golo Kante, I think is absolutely unreal. And I feel like a lot of people say he's overrated and things, but what he has done since he came to the Premier League, what he did at Leicester, then what he did at Chelsea, I think kind of people just expect it from him now. And I think that's why in recent years, people have said he's not hit the heights, is because kind of it's just expected. I've never seen a player cover so much ground, win so much the ball back. He's tackling it. And what we've seen further on towards the end of the decade, his actual passing and his play going forward did improve as well under like Maurizio Sarri. I know a lot of people said he wasn't built for that centre midfielder, like box to box kind of thing going forward, but I think he wasn't too bad at it. And we've seen it in recent years. He can get the occasional goal and stuff. He has improved, but I just think he's unreal. What he did for that Leicester side, just on its own, would mean he would be in this side. And then when he went to Chelsea and even topped those performances and did even better, I just genuinely believe he's one of the best players I've seen. He is unreal. And I think what he does is completely underrated. I love him. I don't know if he's in your team. Is he?
He's not, but he could have been.
Wow.
I'll tell you who is in mine, and then I'll talk about Kante. That's why. No, it's not. It's basically the only reason he's not in mine is because I couldn't really separate him over this period of time from another player, and it's just come down to who's basically won more. So I've gone for someone else, but I'll talk about Kante first.
Okay.
First of all, his story is fantastic.
Oh, yeah,
from
definitely.
Kane or wherever it was to Leicester, and then like rocking up in his little minion cycle.
Oh yeah,
and stuff. He's
a
a nice
person.
guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
You have his little smile. He's a lovable little character. Bless him.
He is great.
And he's now evolved into pretty much the best holding midfielder in the world, and has been for probably the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And like everyone spoke about the Makelele role and how he made that his own, and he was just like what you want in a holding mid. And Kante has done that and just multiplied it like endlessly. He does more, and like even Makelele came out and said like it's the Kante role now because of what he does on the football pitch. The way he just harasses people, wins the ball back, and then he drives with speed, and he is brilliant. And like he would walk into any team in world football, I think.
And the strength that he shows, I think that's something that goes unnoticed. How fast and how strong he is for a little guy. He is strong. You've seen him barge people away, but I think it's because that lower centre of gravity and the speed he goes into challenges. And you never really see him make a mistake. He just mops up everyone else's errors. So I'm a bit upset personally because I've got a bit of a love for Kante. As you said, he's just a lovable character and for how good he is. But I want to hear now, who are you saying then? Who's this player that you couldn't put him apart with? I want to hear it.
I've gone for Fernandinho in a similar sort of role because once he's come in for City, he's just been faultless, really. He's been the base of that midfield. Again, like other people have come and gone, and he's remained, and he's held that squad together. He was there with company and like Zeko and all those, and then David Silva, and then it's progressed to De Bruyne, but he's stayed there. He does that role so well, sweeping. And like once Pep comes in, he was playing centre half, he was playing everywhere. He's another one. He's so consistent. Every week, you know, you're going to get a good performance from him. And then to have that in multiple title winning sides, well, that's the thing that tipped it for me. Is basically just he's won more than Kante, because I couldn't separate them really.
Yeah, I sort of get what you're saying. They're both playing a similar position, but I think they kind of, the two of them do have slightly different attributes. I think Fernandinho is a player who's, I believe in my opinion, he's more composed on the ball, and he made it seem a lot more effortless with the way he would spray the ball around. He'd take the ball in more dangerous position in that City side, but I think that is the style of play City do play. Whereas Kante, I think, he see him cover a lot more ground, whereas you'll see him on the wings at one point covering, because he's just got that engine. But I can appreciate both players. I have to agree. They are both unreal, but Kante, as you said, just tips it for me. But I can see why you'd say Fernandinho. There's nothing really so far where we've completed, other than Leighton Baines, good old sideburns. I don't think there's anyone so far we've really gone, oh my word, what are you doing? But I feel like this is now, from now onwards, is where the choice is now.
Gets interesting.
The amount of players, and I've probably gone through an entire notepad just from these two centre mids and the attackers now. This is the amount of times I have changed. I have literally, my bin is full of screwed up paper because I cannot decide here. And I want to know then, have you gone for like a similar sort of style to me where you've got a box-to-box midfielder and then I want to hear, or just tell me your midfielders and we'll just see.
I'm lining up in like a 4-4-2, but one of the strikers slightly just off the other. Okay. But Fernandinho, we're talking as if this is real life, but Fernandinho is just going to hold a bit and let Yaya Toure absolutely tank through the rest of the field, because what an absolute monster he was.
Snap. We have got another one. Well, I will join you on that. So you tell me why you think he's great, and then I'll join in after, because he's in my team as well.
He's one of those footballers that there wasn't many, if any, around that time that could do the things that he could at his size, at his like power. Yet he was still so technically brilliant. Like no one that I can think of has that much like size, strength, and power. Yet he's that good on the ball, like running with the ball. He's finishing, he's shooting, free kicks we saw, and like goal contributions. He just did everything. He was all over the pitch when he fancied it. That's the one. At times he had like little lulls, like he didn't look too bothered. But on the whole, what he gave City was amazing. Like, and the goals he scored, that one season he had 20 goals. He was just unplayable. He was banging them in every week, and there was nothing from everywhere on the pitch, and there was just nothing you could do when he was in that mood.
Yeah, I've never seen a player, as well as you were trying to say then, look so like he never seemed to break a sweat, if you know what I mean. He never seemed to be sprinting around, but he always had the ball glued to his foot. He just drifted past players, didn't he?
Disinterested.
Yeah.
He looked like disinterested. And then all of a sudden he'll just click and then he's off, and
I completely agree. Which I think made it a lot more attractive as well, because it was just effortless. It was just like, this is just casual. This is nothing really. I love him. And as you said, his set pieces as well is one thing that I think is unreal as well. When you looked at, I'll try not to look at too many stats. You know, I love a cheeky stat, but I was looking at that one season you mentioned earlier about Yaya Toure scoring around 20 goals. I think it's something like 12, 13 assists, but he scored 10 free kicks in that one season, which is dead ball as well, which you can't beat it, can you? He was unreal in that Man City side as well. As you said, the way he drove with the ball, good pass on him. He was composed. And as you said, I can't think of anyone, now you've said it, who is so tall and so good on the ball technically. I can't think of anyone I've never seen a player like it. And I don't know if we will see another one like that for a while, because he was so.
I'd just like to add as well, towards the end where he probably did start to use a yard of pace, his passing. I don't know if he just didn't pass before because he thought, I'll just run by myself and do it. But his range of passing and his weight of pass was, again, for someone that size, you always associate like with the Pirlos and the Xavis, they're all like slight, smaller people. But to have that touch and that like know-how of how to pass a ball at that high level of someone his size, we've never really seen it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah. He's longevity though. He's somebody who didn't do it for too long, but he did do it for quite a few seasons. So I'm surprised he's made your team actually.
He probably had a 5-season spell where he was at his A game.
Yeah, I was just trying to press a button to see if you'd backtrack, but I knew you wouldn't. He is unreal, and he had to make my team. But yeah, so we've got another player there. So we've agreed on 2 so far, and they've both been Man City players. So yeah, there's quite a lot of them for me. And who is your? So you said you were playing kind of a 4-4-2 with a kind of a player who support the striker. Who's supporting your striker? Because I think mine's similar, kind of playing in that hole behind the striker. So who's yours? And then I'll tell you who mine is, and we can either laugh at yours or laugh at mine.
For me, it's got to be Wayne Rooney.
Rooney. So I just wanted to say that. Carry on. Sorry.
He was just brilliant. Like for the whole decade as well. Like this is longevity. That's defined. Like he was so good. He played up front. He played centre forward just behind the striker. He even dropped into midfield later on, and he was just fantastic everywhere. He was the leader of that United team. You can't argue with his goals and stuff. Well, one of the best Premier League goal scorers ever.
Yeah. And
then he even added later on. He added assists and other things to his game, and he was just always giving 100%. It's Rooney. Rooney's got to be in there.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying. He was one that, for me, that could have made my team, and he was very close to it. I see what you mean, like the tenacity and the challenges and things. You don't see many players like him that was so well-rounded. He literally got everything you'd want, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. I feel like he's kind of one player who's overlooked because he is one of the best goal scorers we've seen in the Premier League, and I don't know what it is that he doesn't seem to be put on a pedestal like other players, but then he's not being put on a pedestal by me, so he's not made my team. So I'm kind of really the problem on. I don't know if it's because he wasn't the most attractive footballer at times, where he was in the early parts of his career, but I don't know, and I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, why I don't believe he's on the level of my player that I'm going to say, kind of playing in a similar role.
Who are you going to say? Because this has got to be some player now to put Rooney out on the bench.
I know, I should have gone first. I'm wearing my sky blue. I have gone for David Silva. And I think this is a player, as we've looked at, and I've just realised mine is quite Man City heavy, this team is. I think, again, he's one of those players kind of in that structure, in that those foundations of that Man City squad that dominated for so long. And he's such a good player, and he's so consistent. What he did in that kind of number 10 role in that hole, he just made his. And I think he's one of those players that, again, overlooked because he did it for so long. It was just expected. He was brilliant. I've never seen a player take the ball so much on the half turn, link up with wingers. It was constant 1-2s. He'd take the ball inside. He could dribble with the ball. He was never blessed with pace, but he still was unreal and worked in this Premier League side. And he stayed in that same position. He made that position for so many different managers, did it for so long. And again, he's a very, very attractive footballer in the sense of when you watch him, you want to watch him, if you know what I mean, because of how tricky some of the things he did. He reminds me a bit, I'm trying to think of another player who I used to love watching, was Santi Cazorla. I know you'll like that cheeky mention for him. He's one of those players would get you off your feet.
Santi Cazorla was an absolute wizard.
Yeah. The two of them, I used to absolutely love watching because what they used to do with the ball, I'd never seen people do it, and they did it so effortlessly. And I think that's the difference between him and Rooney. I think Rooney did get a lot more goals and did a lot more tenacious and things, but I think it was just that it was so attractive the way they played. I'd never seen a style of football like it. A player take the ball in positions that he did and just spray the ball around like it was nothing. He would, if he wanted to, he would control the entire tempo of the game. And I don't know.
He would.
And when he was on it, he was unreal. It was his game, and it was just his canvas. The pitch was his canvas, and he'd paint a picture. What a lovely little message to leave it on.
That is beautiful, mate. Well done.
Thank you. I did like that as well. But no, he's the one who.
Poet.
I know. And I don't even know it. Look at that. That's it. I'm rhyming still now. Like. But no, I get what you're saying about Rooney, and I feel like I have overlooked Rooney. He's a very good player, but I'm still sticking with David Silva. He's one of those players, I said, was just unreal for so long and the centre of that title-winning side in that time where, as we've said, across the last probably 10 years or so, where we've seen Chelsea and Man City, two sides, wouldn't dominate the whole time, but they have been the big superhouses, I'd say the superpowers. But no, Wayne Rooney is definitely a good shout. One I probably have overlooked, but he didn't make the cut and he's still not going to get the cut. I still think it's David Silva. It has to be. Has to be. So now, the most controversial time. What everyone's waiting for. I know yours isn't really a front three, but we'll
Can we do some shout outs? Because we've glossed
overlooked
over
so many players. Yeah, good point, actually.
We've like put our players in, but we haven't done the shout out.
Yeah,
so
we've
I'm going to reel off a few.
You go and I'll join in if I can think of any.
Stevie G needs a shout out, of course.
Yeah,
although he was declining, he needs a shout out.
Yep, definitely.
You've just touched on Santi Cazorla, what a boy. And then also in that mould, during that decade, Juan Mata was fantastic.
Do you know what?
Juan Mata was really good.
I completely forgot about him. That's so bad.
He was brilliant.
What a player
for Chelsea.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to say Ozil, but I don't really know if he's not on that level.
Do you know what? I can back it. I know you're going to see
he's not on that level.
But he was very good. And again, it's one of those players very attractive.
His was probably consistency. He had 2 seasons where he was unbelievable for us, I think. And then he just didn't continue that form, really.
Yeah. No, so I think those are good honourable mentions. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, really. Maybe James Morrison, West Brom. I thought he was we'll move on. Chrissy Brunt. What we're talking about set pieces with Leighton Baines. He's one who would rival him for the best set pieces. You must admit.
I've got to have one final shout out. Cult hero, Emmanuel Ibue.
Do you know what? I nearly mentioned him earlier. He was so funny to watch. What a player! What a player! Got a good strike on him. Good
comedy value.
No, he definitely gets an honorable mention. But now, I know, as you said, it's not really a front three with the kind of way you're playing. And I have got 2 wingers and a striker. My 2 wingers are proper wingers with a striker. I know yours aren't, but we'll just merge them all into one. Who are you going to play?
They're still wide players.
Yeah, wide. That's a better way of putting it. I was hoping you'd be able to chip in there. I was thinking, what am I trying to say here? I'm just skirting around it. But yeah, we'll start on the left. And I am going to go straight in with my boy, Eden Hazard. What a player. When he came over from Lille, this small guy, you thought he's not strong enough for the Premier League. And I think, again, he was one of these wave of players where there were small, nippy wingers who could do it all. He could go to the byline, he could put a ball in, or he would come inside and beat a man and get goals. And he was so fast. And again, a small player who was strong. And I know at points in his career where that time when he was under Mourinho, when he wasn't tracking back and things like that, and there were question marks on him. But I think overall, he was a brilliant player, very tricky, lots of goals, as I said, and I really rated him. I'm really hoping now you've got him in your team because I want to give him a bit of love now. So who have you got on that side?
I've got Hazard. He's the number. I don't think you can argue with Hazard really for what he did over that period of time. He was Chelsea's main man. He led them to multiple titles, goals, assists, everything. Can't fault him. Sick of praising Chelsea now, so move on to the right wing.
I do want to say though quickly, it is a shame with the way it has gone out and turned out for him at Real Madrid, but obviously this is just about the Premier League. So at his time in the Premier League, he was consistent. As you said, he was Mr. Chelsea. Like, he was one of those players they'd turn on every season. He was consistent except that one. But yeah, I know you don't want to keep shouting out Chelsea. So, okay then. Let us move on to the other side. I'll let you go first then for this one.
I've gone with Mo Salah.
Yeah.
When he first came, I didn't think he would be a great signing.
Yeah.
He's done well at Roma, but there's no guarantees that translates to Premier League form. And then he started banging in all these goals from the off, really. And everyone after that first season was like, oh no, he won't be able to keep this up. He's a one-season wonder. And every season, he's just built on it. And this goal output for a winger is just absurd, really.
Yeah.
Like the rate at which he scores goals, the ease at which he finishes. Because at the start, I didn't think he looked like a natural finisher. Like a lot of his goals, he didn't look comfortable in front of goal, even though he was scoring 20 goals a season. But now he's just every time he's even within 20 yards, all he needs is half a yard of space, and the ball's in the net. I looked at other people on that right hand side, like Mahrez deserves a shout because for Leicester and City, he was brilliant. PFA Player of the Year for Leicester. And then, like Bale as one of the wingers deserves a shout, but what Salah's done, even in that short amount of time, I think he's clear of the rest of them.
Yeah, no, he was one player who was close for me, but I know you're not going to like this, but I went for Gareth Bale. But I know he played at points on the right. He's kind of like the Cesar Azpilicueta one where I couldn't decide. I wanted to get him in. I wanted to squeeze him in. So I'm going to squeeze him in on the right. He could play there. And what we saw again, it's longevity again. He didn't do it for that long, but in the time he was there, that 3 seasons where at Tottenham, literally everything he did, it's just quite similar to Salah, a player who became a bagsman. The output was unreal. And obviously Salah has taken it to a whole nother level recently. Like we've never seen anything like
this. It's just ridiculous now.
Yeah, 100. I completely agree with you on that. But I think what Bale had, it was more of an all-round winger, whereas it was more of a, because Salah does sometimes, he's just a finisher now, isn't he? Whereas I think Bale kind of brought everything. He would drive at players, he was set pieces, everything. But I can completely get behind Salah as well. I think Salah is a great shout. So I think, but really, I'm skirting over Bale because I know you're not going to want to talk about him. Are you? You're not going to want to praise him, or are you going to? Or are you just going to pretend I've just not?
Bale, no, he was brilliant for those few years, and a very, very good player. Rightly, he's moved to Real Madrid and then has gone on to great things with them, as we've seen. It's not working out of late, but I think what he's done in his career, 100%, is phenomenal. One of the best British players, like most decorated British players.
You beat me to it. I was going to agree with you on that. 100%.
He's a brilliant player.
Okay, then the final spot, the striker. Who are you backing? I want to hear yours.
There's only one. There's only one person you can put in here, Sam, and it's got to be Sergio Aguero.
Say it properly. Come on. You want to say it properly, Aguero? I was going to wait for it. Then.
I'm not gonna defer for that. But for me, there's no one else. You can't put anyone other than Sergio Aguero in when he's had like 20 goals for near enough the whole decade.
Yeah.
Multiple titles. The title goal should just be enough to put in, because that's just folklore that'll go down. And anyone who was watching it, like it's a memory that will live with them near enough forever, because it was just one of those moments where no matter who you support, that's when football wins, because it was just like the occasion and his first title, last minute, it was just something like you'll never see it again, and it was a special moment. So for that alone, he deserves it. The goals on top of it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, he was unreal. I completely agree on that. Sorry, the signal keeps going. I apologize. We are getting this out. Don't worry, we're nearly there. I am not going to. I can't believe I'm saying this, because this is the one.
You're going to do this.
You know where I'm going, and I can't believe I'm doing this. I believe I'm trying to look you in the eyes and tell you why I do believe that Harry Kane, for me,
I'm about to leave.
I know you are about to leave. I know you. Just hear me out. Hear me out. Aguero, I think, obviously, he's a bagsman, but I believe what Kane has brought to as a striker, he's got those assists, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I see both players are unreal, but Kane, for me, what he does, not only does he bag goals, he brings other players into play. He's a player who you can rely on. He can drop deep. He can take the ball. He's kind of a more all-round striker and an all-round player. So I do agree with you. Aguero probably has been more consistent. But for what Kane's done, the way he's changed kind of the striker role, in my opinion, he's going to just edge it for me. And I can't believe I'm saying that. And the more I say it, the more I don't believe it. I don't even sound...
absolute disgrace.
I don't sound convincing, do I, when I say it either? Like, I don't sound convincing, but... Yeah, I think overall, I think both of our squads are very strong. Like I think they're very strong, and I think
How many trophies did Kane win in the
I knew that was
decade?
as I said to you earlier, and that's why I said it, because I knew you could throw that at me at the end. I said to you at the start, I am not looking at what players have done in teams and what
But
they've
surely
won.
when
I
one
knew
player's got how many Premier Leagues? What?
No, but that's why I believe he's. Oh, here we go. Look at you. You're getting Aguero's Premier League titles up.
5 in the decade. 5 in the
Oh.
decade. Top scorer for the 5-time Premier League winners in the decade, and you've picked Harry Kane.
Yes, I have picked Harry Kane. I'm going to say it with chest, and we could argue this until we like literally blue in the face. And
There's no argument really. The listeners are going to agree with me.
Probably.
There's no
this
argument.
is when
You're on Spurs Island, Spursy Island on your own. You can.
Well, we'll put these teams out, and guys, let us know in the comment section below. Message us privately if you want to send me some hate about it, but just let us know, guys, what you think. Anyone you think we've missed out. Hopefully we've given a shout out to everyone who kind of really deserves to be in these sides. We've seen, when you look back at these teams, we've seen so many good players in the past decade and so many good sides, and it just makes me feel lucky to be alive and see all this great football. But Mike, I think we've smashed it again. Another episode. You could be on.
No, I'm going to throw 2 curveballs at you.
Oh, here we go.
Never like it when you do this. I like to put you on the spot.
I know, you know I don't like it.
Podcast. So, you're going to give me 2 players. One is your super sub.
Oh, okay.
You can go with that first of the decade.
Super sub in any, like when you say super sub, as in like this guy's known for being a super sub.
No. Just someone you want to bring on.
Oh, someone I want to bring on.
Not the top 6 sides.
Oh, I can't believe you've just thrown this at me now. Oh my! Why have you done this to me now? At least I could have prepped this question.
Should I give you mine?
Yes, please do. Whilst I can think, I'm panicking.
I'm going with Papi Cisse.
Okay.
Just because for 1 or 2 seasons he was a bagsman.
Which I completely agree with you.
That's just the logic.
Top 6 side. I'm trying to think now. Okay, this one is very, very, like, this is really left field. And this is, I don't know why it's sticking in my brain. And this is the first name I can think of. And it's only because we spoke about him today. I can't believe I'm saying this. Yakubu. He's the first name that came into my head. He's something different. He was a good striker. Like, he did get goals. And I think for his time at, I'm going to say, I know obviously he was in that Blackburn side and he's at Everton, so I can say it. That's not a top 6. So that's my play. I don't know why that's the first name that came into my head, and I'm going to stick with it. I can't believe I've just said Yakubu. Oh, what have I done?
The second question is your Streets Won't Forget player.
Adel Taarabt. Like, it's not, or Dimitri Payet.
In the 2010s.
In the 2010s. Dimitri Payet and Adel Taarabt. Yeah, Adel Taarabt was in the 2010s. Yeah, that's right. He was in the 2010s. Yeah, definitely. He surely would have been.
Payet's a good one.
Payet, and I think, Adel Taarabt, if I remember him, it's got to be in the last decade, let's be honest. Surely. Have I just completely messed out? I would have said it'd be in them 2, definitely.
No, you're right.
I was going to say that the 2 of them, I think, are the definition of the Streets Will Never Forget players, because they are. They're just FIFA Street players. We say it. They weren't consistent because you cannot be consistent at playing the way they did for so long, can you? Let's be honest. And it's a shame with Dimitri Payet, but he was unreal in that time.
Payet was great.
Yeah, he did everything. I loved him. Again, a player that there's so many moments you can think of with him. Not on like Adel Taarabt, I think, is all right, but I think Payet's definitely my number 1. For some of the moments you can remember of him when he did that Rabona assist and things like the free kick against Man United. There were so many things.
The screamers he was scoring.
He just played the game like he was having a laugh, like he was at the playground with his mates. It was unreal. Who would you have said? Would you have backed me up on that one?
I do back you up with Payet, absolutely, but I've got to represent the Gooners here.
I thought so.
I'm going for the cheeky chappy, Andre Arshavin, of course. What a player. 4 goals away at Anfield, laughing at the crowd, doing all that. What a player. He was just great.
Yeah,
he was like a maverick. You never knew what version of him was going to turn up. You could get absolutely nothing, or you could get a man of the match performance.
Yeah,
but he's a lovable character.
Yeah, again, he's one of those kind of players. So I'm pretty sure. I think we've smashed them. I hate the way you put me on the spot like that. I love it. I prefer you, and I know you're doing it on purpose. You just like to make me just feel not at ease.
It's quite amusing.
I wish you just tell me them in advance, and then because I've just said Yakubu. I've said Yakubu because we spoke about him earlier, scoring like 16, 17 goals in that one season, and I've been thinking about him all day. I watched like his highlights earlier on YouTube do you know what? He was a player. He was a player. Something a bit different.
Yeah, Yakubu was quality.
I just can't believe that's the first name I've thrown in the hat, and I know I will get some stick for that. I probably will get some pelters and people.
For Wingy.
Do you know what? I wanted to not be biased towards West Brom. It was going to be either Odin Wingy, maybe even a Rondon, those kind of players that I loved. Like Chris Brunt, as you said. There are so many West Brom, Malumbu, Jakob. I could have named so many players, but no, I'm trying not to be biased, but I've just named them anyway. So yeah, but no, mate. Cheers. I think we've smashed it. I think that's everything now. I hopefully not going to throw any more curveballs at me. But thanks for coming on again.
No, I'm done.
Good. And thanks for coming on again. And hopefully you'll be on again next week for your hat trick. Depends how much stick you get.
Me a
bucket hat.
A proper ball.
Oh, your ball. I thought you were asking for a bucket hat.
I'll have a hat trick. I'll have a hat trick bucket hat.
Yeah, a hat trick. We could make a bucket hat trick. A bucket hat. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It sounded good in my head, but no. Yes, we'll sort you something out, and then you can come on with a hat on if you want. If you want to look stupid, because this doesn't look stupid. This one's cool. But no, mate, thanks for coming on again. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already, I've said it before, Mike's football shirt shop will be in the link. It will be in the description, not the bio, because I always say the bio, in the description below, a link to it. Go check it out, guys. Go follow it. There's some great shirts on there. But Mike, thank you for coming on, as I've said again. And I will speak to you next week. Guys. I'll speak to everyone soon. Thank you. Goodbye. Up the baggy.